What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm J-Lag.
And I'm NB.
And this episode is recapping and reviewing Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Season 2, Episode 1. And it's called Chapter 12, The Epiphany.
Yeah, and don't forget, guys, stick around for our ending because we are going to go through our recap roundups, our best moments, our MVPs, our LVPs, and we got some roundups from you guys to read out on air, so be sure to stick around for that.
Hell yeah. And as always, to our continuing listeners and our brand new ones, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into the episode, y'all.
Yeah, and like we're back. It's pretty exciting. We're back to season 2 of Sabrina.
Yep. Y'all been waiting for this.
They've been waiting for it. So we're going to give you what y'all want.
All right.
And we're not going to recap like scene by scene, guys, just because that takes too long. But we do want to highlight like the top key moments of the episode.
Yeah.
And then we're going to discuss it because you guys like us discussing things. So why not?
Sure.
So what's the first major...
What did you think of the first episode back in the first place?
I liked it. I wasn't, honestly, I'll be real, like I wasn't hyped for it to come back.
Right.
But having watched the first episode, like I'm really excited about it. I think it was super cool. The tone is exactly what I wanted it to be the entire time, I felt like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. What about you?
I really liked it too. To your point, I think that the first half of the season, it was very like ramp up to this moment. So we feel like we've been saying it from the beginning. I wish that the show just started right here, but
exactly.
I am glad that we got like the little bit of the history, and now that this half of the season is released, like I think it's a good kind of like rounded out season now. But yeah, let's get into the episode.
Yeah.
So the first thing that we want to talk about, I guess, is Sabrina has new powers, and she's using it like left, right, and center. Because the opening sequence is her in the mirror getting ready for school, and she's like changing her outfit. What did you think of this moment? Like just right off the top.
That was like my favorite moment. I think it was a moment that we were waiting for in the first season.
Yeah.
And understandably, like we just didn't get it. But I love to see it. I freaking love Kiernan Shipka as Sabrina. Like, yeah, I think she's so perfect, and she perfectly does this moment, like with her little dance moves and like her spins, and like
she's cute.
She just pulls it off, and it's such a like throwback to like the Melissa Joan Hart Sabrina version. I feel like, and
for sure.
I liked it. It was really cute.
Yeah, I really liked it too. But yeah, I think this was definitely like a more magical episode, and just starting the whole season off with this moment, I was like, ooh, it's going to be like magical.
For sure. Yeah.
So she's getting ready for school, and she decides that she wants to take some time off of regular mortal life school and do her magic stuff at the academy more.
Right.
We find out a little bit later that it's because she wants to protect her friends, her mortal friends. So that's the main reason why. But
yeah,
I think it worked really well.
I think it... I don't know if it's going to make sense moving forward, but I think for what happens in this episode, it kind of worked. And like, for some reason, like Hilda's basically like her like catch her up. Her like Hilda basically just like tells her what's the tea. She's like, yo, like your friend Susie, like she's trying out for the basketball team, like she's probably not gonna make it. Like your friend Roz, she's like trying to get your man. Like I feel like so she's keeping her up to date with like what's happening at the high school. So I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think that sort of leads us into our next big point, which is Baxter High keeps going on without Sabrina, and like having said that, like Susie like finds out about this basketball tryouts that Harvey talks about, and he's been practicing all summer for.
Yeah.
And Susie's like, I'm gonna get in on that right now.
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so that's like our next major point, because we do want to talk about the tryouts, because me and Jay like had a lot to say about this moment.
A lot to say. So the one thing that I will say is I think at its core, the story is great. I mean,
totally.
We've said this before. We said it last season. I think I even said it in our final season, how, Susie as a character, it'll be really interesting. I even said it would be really interesting to see a character transition, because I've never seen that in a television show, let alone a young adult television show. So I think it's completely fresh and completely new to experience what we're experiencing with Susie's / Theo's character. But But, and this is just like a really quick asterisk, but I don't know if this was the way that I would have approached it with this fucking basketball tournament situation. I just thought it was really forced, and like, let's be real. Like Susie, Theo, it doesn't matter. Like, she's not a basketball player. She's like 5'0" nothing, and she's trying out for the basketball team for what reason? To just like prove a point, you know?
And it does, like, I do want to talk more about this, but like, because it is in my roundups, but it's just, you guys, you can't just like cheat your way through life or like have magic powers to like cheat your way through life. At the end of the day, like, she like here, and this is what I wrote in my notes for like after, but I'll say it now. Like, Harvey in that moment was like, yo, I tried all summer to practice for this basketball team, and like, I'm gonna go try out. And then Susie was just like, I'm gonna try out too. I'm like, but have you practiced? Like, have you had an interest in basketball? Like, if they took her character from the perspective of like, oh my God, I'm such a, like, I've been on the girls team forever, or like I've been practicing forever, like all summer, like I practice my shots, and this is my opportunity to like prove myself. If she had come in it from that perspective, I would have loved this storyline. And if Sabrina had just added her like magic to like boost Susie a little bit more, I would have loved that. But she was literally shit. Like, she couldn't, she was throwing air balls like left, right, and center, and like she couldn't see over the guy's knees. So I'm like, this is just too. It's a little too ridiculous. It's a little too extreme.
Agreed.
And she's transitioning, and I just felt like this maybe wasn't the right like platform for her to do that in.
Yeah.
And
it
then,
all
like,
was very abrupt, like the way that it all kind of rolls out. So anyway, we'll talk about it a little bit more. But
she does in this moment drop the fact that she's changing her name.
Yeah, exactly. So before that happens, she's like, I'm Theo now. But before that all happens, she goes and talks to Wardwell because she gets enraged. She doesn't just get pissed. She doesn't just get like, you know, like, I'm a feminist and I'm gonna do this. She gets like literally so angry. She like storms into Wardwell's office, who's now the principal of Baxter High, because she done ate the last principal. And she's like, we need to talk about this. Like, the basketball players are not letting me be on the team. The coach is not letting me be on the team. And so Wardwell obviously like comes in, and she says that sexism is not going to be a thing in the school now, and she's allowed to try out for the basketball team.
Yeah, so here's the thing. The first time I watched it, I honestly thought that she was just wanting to be on the team. And I'm like,
same.
Like, but then when I watched it the second time, it was their tryouts. So I was like, like, she just wants an opportunity to at least try out for the team. Yeah. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, maybe she's not going to make the team, but like, she's just trying out. And like, he should let her try out.
Yeah, and especially like, if there isn't even if there isn't a female basketball team,
exactly,
for sure, there is no place for it there. But I think it's a hard discussion to have, because I mean, every school has a men's basketball. Not every school, but a lot of schools have.
Everyone has a girls' basketball team. Like, everyone should have that. And my thing, and I was telling J-Lag like offline too, like I'm all about, I love sports, and my perspective in all of this is, I think it's not about having girls and guys play on the same team or play in the same league, because let's face it, like, we're not physically like always gonna be at equal playing fields.
Right.
What I want to see in the sports world is the rise of the female sport, where like female sports are recognized just the same as the male sport. Right. So like, let's focus on the women's basketball team at the high school. Having said that, they don't have one. I get that. And also the fact that like, she doesn't see herself as a girl. So like, she does want to be on the guys' team. Right. So I'm like, oh, okay, like, I get it. Like,
it's a different story, like, from what we expected it to be.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, I don't know how I feel about Susie just kind of making her very like aggressive shift to that. And I'm only saying this because, you know, she was all about, you know, female empowerment. They created the Wicca group, which is like a women inclusive group, you know, with Roz and all the girls, like the book club and stuff. And that she started with Wardwell. And then suddenly out of nowhere, she's like, honestly, Roz, I don't really care about Wicca right now. I want to join the basketball team. I'm like, yo, how are you going to just like skirt your girl like that? Like,
I don't know what it is about her. And I'm so sorry to the actress. I'm so sorry to everyone that like loves her. There's some, I'm not feeling her. And like, maybe it's like the way they've written her, like everything. I feel like even like the way they write her, like even the fact that she goes whining to Wardwell, like,
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, like, do you really need the principal to step in right now? Like, own it. Like fucking kill it on the court or like do something else.
Right.
Like, do you have to go and like whine to your principal and like make her like fix this for you? I don't know. I just like,
you can't, and like that's the thing. The way that it all played out was very like everything was handed to her anyway at the end of it all, right? Like nothing was ever earned.
Exactly.
It was all just given to her.
And I don't know what kind of message I don't know what kind of message the writers are sending out with that. Right. You know what I mean? Like,
because it's not going to be that easy for people like to just do that in the real world. So for her to just like walk in and be like ain't nobody got a witch friend who can like help them shoot basketball hoops like all the time and like get on the boys team like that. Like, I also
love how like nobody thought that it could be magic when they know that like Sabrina does fucking magic. Like your friend literally is a witch. She's in the crowd and like you're shooting like threes like it's nobody's business.
Yeah,
and you're not gonna wonder why. You're and like, I practiced. It's cool.
Like legit, Susie's face is like gagged every single time she shots him. She's like, whoa.
She's like, was that me? Harvey, was that you or was that me?
Like she doesn't even know what she's doing on the court. Like she doesn't even know how to play basketball. Like,
it was terrible. I honestly, I really wish they brought her in a different level where she was like dying to play. This was her sport. Like all her life, she's wanted to play this sport. She's practiced every night with like her dad, whatever.
Right.
Something like that where like there's a meaning to the storyline, but there was nothing there, and like it just didn't work for me.
And now you're gonna tell me that Theo is gonna be on the basketball team for the rest of the season? Like,
yeah, that's
like
probably what's gonna happen.
Like, and like
she's gonna be
Sabrina's not gonna be there like helping her through every single fucking game. You know,
I wonder if they just made her make the team so that she could have that like locker room moment, like drama.
Yeah, I don't know. So that is the big thing with Susie's storyline. But the major thing that happens by the end of it. So Sabrina does come in at some point, even though she's not at school. She finds out about the game or the tryouts, and she kind of sneakily stays in the rafters and uses her magic to get Susie to score every single shot that she shoots, and Susie like kills it. And at the end, everybody's so happy because she wins the game, and she's hugging Roz and she's hugging Harvey, and they're like, "Oh my God, Susie, you're amazing! Good job!" And she literally uses that moment to turn around and be like, "It's actually Theo now." And
I was like, what?
I was like, whoa. Like, I wish
they gave it a beat. I wish they gave it an actual scene for her to be like, you know what, guys? I think I'm going to go by Theo now. Like, it was so, like, sudden and rushed.
So quick. Yeah. And, like, I can't speak to how someone should come out or like, what the story should be. But I was very shocked as to how they were approaching. It just feels very quick. Like, they want to tell the story, and I think it's an amazing story to tell. I just don't know if they're doing it justice, if that makes any sense. Yeah. So that's Susie's storyline, but from now on, we're going to be calling her Theo. So that's exciting news. Theo. Congratulations.
And speaking of boys, we got the Top Boy Challenge.
Top Boy.
Which is like Top Boy, which is I think Drake's new show on Netflix. It's going to be called Top Boy, so that's kind of cool. But so Top Boy is like the main part of this episode. It's a challenge. It's a competition. Right. What did you think?
First of all, I kind of loved it just because it was definitely a throw to like the Harry Potter series, because they always have these like little mini challenges and stuff. So I was all about like witches and challenges against each other and competing against each other with magic. Yeah. So I was totally into it. I do understand where they were going with it, the top boy, and the fact that she nominates herself as top person and she wants to fight the patriarchy, which she's been doing this whole time. I think it fit this time around, though, because I think in the past I was like, shut up, Sabrina, just sit down. But this time I was like, okay, girl, you get it. I get it. I'm down for you to try to get this top spot. But at the same time, like, why do you want to be like Blackwood's bitch anyway? Like, top boy sounds like a shit position to be in.
Yeah, it's true, right? Yeah.
But yeah, what did you think of this whole situation?
I liked it, and I think just in like the bigger aspect of what the show is trying to say right now, it's a lot of feminism, and don't get me wrong, I effing love it. I think there's a lot of the same theme of like break down the patriarchy, like I don't know, like it's just like, and it's happening in both of her worlds, like in her real friend world at Baxter High, and then it's also happening in the witch world. So I feel like it's a lot. It's a lot of like bring down this, you know,
the man,
like this old the man.
Yeah.
And I liked it though. I did like it. I love the tests and like the little like competition that she had with Nick, and like it was awesome.
Yeah, I like that part, but to your point, I do agree. I think that they're really hitting you over the head. They're bashing you over the head dead with this whole idea of, you know, fight the man. And I love the point that they made, and the fact that she was like, I want to be high priestess one day, and he got mad at her about that as well. But she has so far to go that for them to introduce this now, season 2, and this is her expectation, like how much, what does she have to do? Does she have to like fucking kill every single person on the top to be at the top, you know?
So I was reading a recap, and I'm just saying this now because you're setting it up perfectly. In one of the recaps, the writer, I want to quote it, and because they talk about this Sabrina thing as well as the Susie thing. Yeah. And so I'm just quoting them. They say, while their big picture politics are correct, they personally are really not qualified for the positions they want. Sabrina has been a student at the academy for all of 30 seconds. She barely knows anything about magic and has spent almost zero time at the school. Theo is bad at basketball. It is not sexist to say people who are bad at basketball should not make the basketball
it's
team.
It's fucking true.
Right? It's so true. And I think even just like on the Sabrina side of things, like, bro, like just chill. Like you just got into the school full time. Like you're just learning things. For her to constantly throw herself into to want to be the top of everything and like the first at everything, like it's like this sort of entitlement. But like she needs to, like, and I know she's earning it through the episode, obviously, but like, it's just they do have these expectations, and I'm like, but chill though, like for real.
For sure. And she does, I'm not saying that she uses excuses, but because people literally attack her throughout the entire episode. For sure. But she does, just like Susie did, Theo did, she like ran to Wardwell when she was upset about the fact that she couldn't get in. It's the same kind of idea with Sabrina, where she's like, people are attacking me, like I need more time, like, you know, she wants,
and in the end she cheated,
and she still cheated. Exactly.
Like that's what I mean. Like guys, in the end of it all, like they both cheated to win. So it's like I don't understand the message that you're trying to give me at this point. Like
I agree.
You're trying to get to the top. You're fighting with the big boys, but like you're cheating. So
it's like it's almost like you're saying you have to play dirty and you have to cheat in order to be equals with men. Essentially,
right?
Is that's what they're
exactly
trying to say.
They're saying. Or and it seems like that's what's happening.
Exactly. So anyway, let's go through each of the tests. So there's 3 tests that they do, and it's between her and Nick. And Nick is the only one that got nominated.
And I have to say, like, I love the way they've written Nick's character, because he is so amazing. He's really amazing. The first season, he was really like this, and he's still this cocky like guy. Yeah. But he was so amazing towards Sabrina. He's like, why would I care like that she's competing against me? Like she's so cute. Like he was just so supportive of her. He was never like, ew, what the hell? Like, why is she like up against me? You know, like he seemed very secure in his manhood, in his skills, that he was okay with like competing against her. And I love the fact that they wrote him like that. And they didn't write him like this petty boy. Oh, he's fucking hot. I can't.
He's really cute.
Yeah, he's really hot.
So the first challenge is the Inquisition, and it's essentially a Jeopardy contest. She had to study for it the night before, and while she's studying, this wise man that we saw last episode, in the Christmas episode, comes and attacks her with rats, essentially. And she's like studying by herself, so there's nobody around her. She finds a way to vanquish him for a quick second, and then he disappears. While she's studying her ass off for this test, the boys go to I think it's called Dorian's Club or something.
Dorian Gray or something?
Yeah. So Dorian Gray, if you don't know your literary history, it's a character from a book, The Picture of Dorian Gray, where it's a man who sells his soul to stay young and beautiful, but while he stays beautiful, his painting starts to like show his like evil side, and shows like the corruption that he goes through to maintain this youth and beauty. I wanted to name my kid Dorian until I read that book. But anyway, it's It's that story. So it's him basically selling his soul to the devil, and he owns this bar, and the boys go to the club, and it's a exclusive boys club situation. So Sabrina wasn't even invited. Ambrose shows up with Luke, and this part really pissed me off too. The fact that they were in cahoots. I guess we saw it last season where they were all together once the babies were born, but I was really upset about how Ambrose and Lucas were kind of so strongly with the boys club, you know. Right. Especially Ambrose, and we can talk about him a little bit later in detail, but I was really disappointed in how you were literally raised by women. Like, there are women all around you. There's like Hilda and Zelda and Sabrina. There's no men around you to have that kind of negative patriarchal influence. And he's also a gay man, so you would think that he would have the sympathy and the understanding of this boys club being incorrect and being wrong, and he still kind of goes with it for some reason. Like, you'd almost be you'd almost think that he was the one that was infatuated with Lucas, because we know that Lucas had that potion put on him, right, with Hilda putting it into his coffee. Like, you almost think that he's the one that's infatuated with Lucas, and that's why he's so blind by it, but it's actually Lucas who's obsessed with him. So I don't know, I'm not feeling his character right now.
Yeah, I agree.
So that whole thing happens while she's studying. The next morning, she goes and does this Inquisition test, but she tries to get out of it because she's like, I didn't get to study, somebody attacked me. And Blackwood's like, that's totally fine, whatever, we'll do it a little bit later, just like show up and watch Nick do his part of the test. And Prudence, beforehand, she's basically been taking care of the baby this whole time, and at one point in time she asks Blackwood if she could take the name Blackwood, like if she can be Prudence Blackwood. And he's like, hell no. He's like, you stay here and take care of my baby. And she's like pissed off, and she's almost like, she even says, if I asked to be top boy, would you let me? And he's like, I would never do that. I would never.
I feel like she knows all the answers to these questions.
Yeah.
She still asks. She's like, can I be your daughter for real with your last name? He's like, no. She's like, can I be top boy? He's like, no. She's like, true. Why did I even ask?
True. So that enrages her and angers her enough to help Sabrina out. So she's like, honestly, Sabrina, you go to the Inquisition because my dad's an asshole, and we'll take care of the rest. Don't worry about it. Like, just like sit there and we'll be okay. So they go to the Inquisition, and they literally ask Nick one question.
He asks Nick a question about fucking geometry. He's like, what's her like geometrical shape? Which is like the freaking easiest question.
It's like,
and then he turns, and then he turns to Sabrina. He's like, da 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 da, like, who was here, da 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 da. And then like it cuts to Zelda. She's like, damn. She's like, I don't even know that answer. Yeah. And Sabrina like obviously knows it because like Prudence and the sisters are like telling her the answers.
Right.
So then Father Blackfoot, like, he gets like so pissed. He's like, oh yeah, and like starts asking Sabrina like all of these questions,
like, and all the like, dates, like all the specific dates.
And she's like, obviously she's answering all of them like correctly. But I'm like, I don't understand. Like, is no one going to ask Blackwood at the end, like, yo, you asked Sabrina like 30 questions. You only asked Nick like one?
So
like,
tight.
Are we just going to ignore this? Like, hello, what's happening?
Yeah. And that's the thing that kind of gags me is like, I understand that these witches have been around for like hundreds and hundreds of years. You're telling me that not one of these witches stepped forward and was like, fuck you boys. You guys are all shitty guys. Like, not one of them did this. Like,
if you guys watched the season of AHS Apocalypse, like, I think they wrote this story of the witches and the warlocks amazing. Yeah. Because it was really about the witches, like, you know, reigning on themselves, and like the warlocks like are controlling themselves, and like they have to sort of work together.
Right.
Or they try to. But this seems like the witches have accepted Father Blackwood or like all these other like warlocks.
Men, yeah.
You know, men to be in charge, and like it's kind of like, you guys have powers too. Hello.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense that like Sabrina's the half-breed is going to be the one that's going to change the world. Like,
I think in the human, like in our society, it makes sense because we don't have magical powers, you know? But like in the witch world where like you guys could like do anything you guys want, it's just weird to me that like no female has ever like stepped up.
Right. The gag is even in like, just to throw back to AHS, like the gag is that in that show, the warlocks were weaker than the witches. So there was a reason why there was like a power struggle between the two of them. But there's never an inkling that the witches in this show are any weaker than the warlocks. If anything, the warlocks look like fucking shit in comparison. But I don't know. Anyway. They all watch her win, and that's kind of the end of that part of it. And then it goes into the next segment, which is the boil and bubble, where they have to make a make a potion
or something.
Yeah. And whoever's like adds something to the potion and it like solidifies, then they lose and they have to like drink the potion. And it was really cute because Hilda, who's obviously like a good baker and she's good at that kind of side of things, she decides to help Sabrina through this particular task, because she's like, you need to be prepared, you need to know exactly what to say and what to put into the cauldron. And they have a really cute moment. So like what you were saying before, how Hilda was kind of catching her up on her friends. I think she's also trying to coax her to go back to normal school, because she thinks that maybe she's a little overwhelmed with being at the magical school. But I think this is when she tells Hilda, I want to keep my friends safe because the Dark Lord is going to call on me one day and I don't want them to be around to be affected by that.
Right. So what ends up happening in this test is that Sabrina like fails, right? Like she does the potion solidifies.
Yeah, she tries it. She tries, but then she loses anyway. In between this, like it's almost like every single task, the wise men attack her. So the second wise man, the one that controls bats, attacks her in the woods, and when she's on her way back from school. But this time she has like a witch whistle, so it kind of stops him from attacking her. But yeah, now she's starting to feel really worried. She's like, someone's trying to get me. Someone doesn't want me to become top boy. And I'm like, girl, you're so close-minded. It's not about the fucking top boy shit. But
so her potion or whatever, like it like kind of like fucks up.
Yeah.
So like she has to drink it. Everyone's like, no, like don't drink it. Like Sabrina, like whatever. She's like, no, I got this.
Yeah.
And she like chugs it basically. And like all of a sudden the room of witches and warlocks turns into like a fucking like fraternity, and they're like chug.
Yeah.
Like as if like you guys would be saying chug. Like you guys are all like parents. They're like chug. And like she does. And whatever, like she like yaks after because like I guess like it was so gross, whatever.
Right.
And then so like Nick basically wins like that round.
Right.
Okay.
And then the final round is the Conjuring. So in between all this, she's like so pissed off about these people attacking her. She wants to get to the bottom of it before the Conjuring happens. And I think this is timeline wise when she goes to Baxter High to visit Susie, and she helps her out with her magic. But as she's walking through the hallways back home, this is when the last wise man kidnaps her.
Yeah, like he kidnaps her.
So he grabs her and he like brings her down to the basement or something, and he's got like flies everywhere. He's like Lord of the Flies, and he wants to kill her, and he's about to explain his whole story. But then Wardwell comes out of nowhere because she followed her, and she banishes him again. Right, like just in time. Right. So Sabrina goes home, but she's pissed off still. She's like, someone's coming after me, because Wardwell basically says to her, you know, these are like pretty high level warlocks. Like somebody must have conjured them. And then she was like, oh, fuck. Nick is like a conjurer. He like specializes in that shit.
Yeah, she insinuates that it might be Nick, but I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I didn't believe it for a second. I was like, no, like the guy wouldn't do that. So then like she goes back to him and she's like, yo, like this is happening to me. She's like, it's not you. He's like, no, obviously it's not me. And then he sort of helps her in this last part of like her mission, and it kind of all leads to they're in that hall again, like the room with like Father Blackwood and shit, and like they bring the three wise men back up. And one of the recaps that I was reading called the three wise men like a cheap version of the Night King. Like,
they really,
the heads look like the pointy Night King head. Yeah,
it's true.
So basically the wise men were like, yo, like we're trying to like kill Sabrina before she ascends, and like she gets like too lit, and everyone's like, oh my god, like who brought you though? Like who made you come here? Right. And he's like, wait, they're like, we're gonna tell you right now.
Yeah.
And then like right then, like Father Blackwood's like, okay, enough. This is like too much.
Banishes all of them, yeah.
And he banishes them all before they could obviously say their fucking piece, which is so ridiculous.
But they do. I think they do kind of imply that they did everything on their own volition. They did it because they don't like the fact that she's ascending and she has these powers, and like that's why these demons are starting to get out of control. And they're like, no one even commanded them to like rise. They just came out of nowhere by themselves.
So for sure, no one was behind this. Like Blackwood wasn't.
No, I don't think so. And just based on the conversation that she has with the Dark Lord, Wardwell has with the Dark Lord at the end, I think that, you know, she's obviously worried that there's some shit going down in hell that she's not privy to. But what did you think? What do you think this whole ascension situation is, and what does that mean?
I don't know. I think it's too early for me to speculate anything really. I mean, she's the main character, so like obviously there's gonna be some like next level thing like attached to her, like she's special and like, oh my god, like it's like Buffy, like she's the next Slayer and like kill her. True. It's like shit like that. But what all of this does is basically like Father Blackwood's like, hey, neither one of you is going to be top boy. He's like, I'm going to choose Ambrose. So everyone's like, okay. So that was for nothing, basically.
Yeah, it was all for nothing. But it was cute to see Nick and her just get
cute
together and like fight against it. I was like, yes, power couple.
I think it's so important to write a male character like this that's not, petty and that's not trying to bring her down. He completely supported her the entire time. Yeah. He was like, no, I'm on her side and like I got her back. And like I love the way they wrote him for this episode.
Yeah, it was really good. So kind of just closing off the episode, we're going to talk about the mortals again. Because a big thing happens between Roz and Harvey when Nick and Sabrina decide to go out to celebrate. They're kind of like walking around and they were going to head to Cerberus, I think, right?
So first we cut to like the diner and like Roz and Harvey, like Thing isn't there. Theo's not there. And they're just kind of chilling and they're having this cute moment. And like Roz is like, wow, like I can't believe all of this. Like, wow, like Theo's really Theo. And Harvey's like, damn, like we're going to have to call her Theo from now on. And she's like, yeah, like she's not a she, like he's a he now.
Yeah,
and
it
like
Harvey was kind of cute watching him like try to understand it all.
But he was like, they made him seem like a dumbass like caveman. He was like, huh? He's like, Susie, no more. Now Theo. Forever. I'm like, what are you, a caveman? Like, why can't you speak properly? What the fuck's wrong with you?
Harvey's such an idiot.
He's such an idiot. And then I guess like do they touch hands at the table?
I think so. I think something like that happens.
Like either like his hand grazes her hand, and like because they have to touch because she has the cunning.
She has the cunning for
this
real.
This girl fully goes into like cunning mode, and like she has a premonition of like Harvey like pushing her up against a locker and like fucking
it's
like
kissing her.
He doesn't fuck her, but like he's like kissing her. They have a really cute moment. So obviously like girl is vibing on him. And
it's like a That's So Raven moment. She was like, oh.
Yeah.
I was like,
and
oh my God.
Yo, this girl was about to con in her pants, like during like the cunning. Like I was like, oh, this is too much.
She's like, oh. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the best part was like, she like phased back to the diner. Yeah. And he was like, are you okay? Like, what's wrong with you? She's like, I just gotta chill.
She's like, we just gotta calm down because
I gotta change my pants now. So
I'm like, do they have air dryers in the bathroom?
Yeah, I felt like they were making fun of it all. Like, oh my God. Anyways, so they're having this really cute moment, and like, shout out to like all the Roz and Harvey shippers because I feel like there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
What do you feel about them having like a love story?
I think I'm not mad at it. At the same time, like, I don't know. I guess they're not doing the bros before hoes situation or like the chicks before dicks situation.
Yeah.
I guess they're like, we are all evolved and we are all mature in high school. I'm like, I don't know what high school you guys go to, but like it was not like that in my high school at all. But I mean, I'm down for that. I think it's all about like, like if you're attracted to someone, you're attracted to somebody. But I just think that like, they were all so close as a 3-person group that for him to suddenly like be on Roz that quickly, like Sabrina is like going and doing her own thing and she has a friendship with Nick, and Nick is like super hot and like, he's been tempting her this whole time and being like, let's get together. So I understand why there's like something happening there. But with Roz, like Roz never like made eyes at Harvey. Like Harvey never made eyes at Roz this whole time.
But it kind of just happened as they were spending time together, you know? Like,
but like they spend like what, one extra week together and now they're like fucking together.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I felt like it's fast, but I am down for them to be together for sure.
Down for it for sure.
Like the one thing that I will say is like I think that Roz is like way like she's too good for Harvey. Like
no, he's cute too. He's really cute.
I don't know. I don't see him like as a supportive person, and I guess it's just because we've seen him with Sabrina and he doesn't know what the fuck to do with this girl. Like, let alone what the fuck is he gonna do with Roz? Roz has the cunning. She has like a power herself. So how is she gonna be able to navigate that conversation with Harvey, who's already like so fucking sensitive to all that shit too? You know, like.
Or like because of her cunning, like she'll work it out with him. Like she'll be more patient and shit, you know?
Maybe.
I don't know.
We'll see.
That girl was way too excited to think that far ahead.
Yeah,
You're thinking way
like,
too far ahead.
Yeah.
She was like, I gotta go home and change my panties right now. Like that's as far as that girl was thinking. But yeah, so as they're in the diner, like it was cute because like Nick's like, what's that diner that like all you basic bitches like go to?
Yeah.
And then Sabrina's like, okay, like we'll go there. He's like, okay, like take me there. And then like they get to the diner, but they see Harvey and Roz inside.
Right.
And like I guess Sabrina like feels no ways about it. Like she didn't really care that like her friend like Roz was with Harvey.
I mean, she did feel some type of way.
What did she say?
Because she walks by it and then she was like, maybe we should go somewhere else. And he's like, yeah. True, let's go somewhere else. So then
like they don't go there, but she didn't really like seem butthurt about it or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she's just like sensitive about it, but at the same
like,
time,
she's down for Nick, so like whatever.
Right, and she doesn't want to show like Nick is like there with him, I guess, or with her.
Yeah.
But so then that happens, and then it cuts to, so they're at the bar, they cheers, Dorian comes by, is like, these are drinks, good job guys, we love you. Like it was weird. And then it cuts to Wardwell, and she's in the cottage and she calls on the Dark Lord and she's like, bro, we need to talk, man, Dem. And she basically says, it sounds like you have bigger plans for Sabrina. There's like literally demons coming out of hell just to attack her, and there was something about an ascension. So can you like kind of like let me in on your conversation, because like we're basically dating and you're not telling me all the information that is, you know? And that's how the episode ends. It ends with her like having the conversation. He's like, "Ugh," like as a demon.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's already on her knees.
It was good
so
though.
I'm like,
yeah, he was like he was like dick level basically, like where she was sitting. I was like, what's gonna happen?
I'm like, is this every single encounter with this man?
Yeah.
Like he's always at dick level. Yeah, that's the end of the episode. Why don't we get into our recap roundups?
Let's do it.
Recap roundups.
Best moment.
So what was your best moment?
My best moment, I think, has to go to the Sabrina changing clothes sequence. I think it was so cute.
Yeah.
The music was, I was like vibing with the music. Kiernan is so adorable in this role, and it was just such a cute moment. And I wanted this in the first season. We didn't get it, so I'm glad we got it in the first episode of the second. So yeah. Yeah,
so into it. So happy to see it. My best moment is going to go to a moment that we didn't really talk about in detail, but at one point in time, Sabrina gets home after she gets attacked, and she sees Ambrose kind of stumble in from the boys club, and she yells at him. She accuses him of his boyfriend attacking her. And they have kind of a bit of a standoff where she basically says like, what the fuck is wrong with you going to a boys club? Like, what generation are you from? Like, what century are you living in?
He's like, I'm from like the beginning of time. So
yeah.
He's like, I can be sexist.
Exactly. So she gets mad at him to the point where she starts to like shake the entire living room. And I thought it was kind of cool to not only see her powers, but also she makes really good points. And I was like, fuck you, Ambrose, you're such a piece of shit. But that was my best moment for sure. Because like seeing her like clap back that aggressively in the first episode back, I was like, yes, it's in her. And I'm like excited to see her go down this path of like aggressiveness versus like her like whining and complaining about everything.
WTF moment.
What's your WTF moment?
I think my WTF moment is gonna go to like the entire basketball Susie Theo storyline, and I don't want to like reiterate everything, but yeah, I think it was just the way they wrote that. I think if Susie came into it being like, I've loved basketball since I was a kid, I've practiced so hard and I'm at this level, so I'm gonna try out, I would have understood it a bit more. but just throwing her in there for the tryouts, she was so shit. And then like having her like be better because of Sabrina's powers, like I just didn't understand it all. I don't know what message they're trying to send with that. So I was just kind of like shocked at that. So yeah,
I would love to know your guys' thoughts on these. So make sure you guys are jumping in the comments, because are we crazy? Are we being too harsh? Like I really do feel like those are valid reasons as to why we thought that part of the episode was kind of stupid. But you know, let us know what you guys think. My WTF moment is gonna go to Roz's premonition, because I didn't see it coming because I don't have the cunning. But
no, yeah, I could.
I didn't. I really was kind of shocked that it went that way so quickly, and that they were gonna start this love story right from the get-go. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out by the end of the season.
For sure.
But yeah, and Roz being like, oh, like,
yeah, she definitely like cun those pants for sure.
MVP. Who's your MVP?
My MVP is gonna go to Nikki Scratch, because I think he was just written really well this episode, and I think I really love his character. He's so effing cute. He's so cute to Sabrina. He's like so down to like be with her. Yeah. But like it almost seems like a cuter way this season, whereas like last season it was like all like orgies and like sex.
Right.
So like
it was a little
feels different.
Predatorial. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels different now, and I'm actually really excited to see them like together. So
same.
Yeah.
My MVP is gonna go to someone that we also didn't talk about this episode, so I'll talk about it really quickly. Zelda. She has a really quick moment.
I love this. Yes.
With Father Blackwood, where they're playing chess, and he's like, "So are we gonna like fuck again?" And she lays down some ground rules, and I was really clapping for her, because last season she looked like she was kind of under his spell, where she was like subservient to him.
Totally.
She wanted him to like whip her, and like all these things were happening. To the point where like Hilda basically said like, stop whipping yourself for like doing this, like all like being so thing.
Yeah.
That seeing her now turn around and be like, no, we're not gonna fuck until you make it official that we're together, like to the public, because she was getting like shade thrown at her the entire episode by all the other witches, because I guess they found out that she's been like fucking him on the side. So she's like, no, I deserve that respect. And he's like, okay. So I was like, yes, girl, MVP for sure.
Yeah, you're right. For sure. I love that scene. It was really good.
LVP. Who's your LVP?
My LVP is going to go to Ambrose.
Yeah,
and I think you made a really good point with the fact that, like, you know, he's grown up in this really, like, female-driven household. And, like, it's like his decisions are a little whack right now. And it's like he has no control over his own storyline. He's just going with wherever they're placing him.
100%.
And I don't know. He's just boring to me right now.
Yeah, which is so sad, because I think he's such a great character.
Oh, for sure. And we've always said that from the beginning.
Just a little disappointing right now. My LVP is kind of a toss-up between Blackwood, but I'm going to mention Luke just because I think he's also a waste character right now, and I don't know where they're going to place him unless he becomes this major villain by the end of the season. For sure,
I could see that. Yeah,
because right now he's just kind of coming off as a douche. And he doesn't really have a lot of things to like when she says, oh, I want like, are you gonna vote for me when the time comes? He's like, no. Like there's not even any reasoning. Like he doesn't even explain himself. And for someone like him to represent, like I said, as a gay man, as a gay witch, as a gay male witch, I think that you would come from a little bit of a level of understanding. So to see this guy be so fucking, you know, this masochist, or not masochist, what's the word that I'm looking for, like just like a woman hater essentially, it's kind of like a really it's almost not believable for me to see that in him. But I really don't like his character right now.
The best line.
What was your best line?
My best line is gonna go to, I believe it's Wardwell, when she was like, Nick Scratch. She's like, well, with a name like that, I can only imagine he's trouble. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yes, he is, but in a good way.
In a good way. My best line is gonna go to Sabrina. It's the same moment that I was talking about with Ambrose, when she has a standoff and the whole room is shaking, and Hilda comes downstairs, and Hilda's like, what's going on? And Sabrina goes, everything's fine, Aunt Hilda, go to bed. And then Hilda claps back and she's like, I beg your pardon, miss. You go to bed. It's a school night. And I just loved it, like, not only for the delivery, because I thought it was a really good delivery from both of the actors, but also to see how Sabrina is starting to kind of play up her powers, and she's starting to cross these like boundaries even with her aunts, and show that she wants to just be this aggressive hormonal like witch, and she's gonna do whatever the fuck she wants. So like it's in her to be like bad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
sure.
It'll be interesting to see where they go with that.
Yeah.
But that is the end of the episode. Oh, sorry, go.
Yeah. We also have one of our listeners emailed us her recap roundups for the first episode. And it's from Julia. Her best moment was when Zelda basically re-enters high school to have the timeless "What are we?" conversation with Father Blackwood. It's so true. Her WTF moment, Sabrina's faux head on a platter at the Gentleman Club. So
oh my
extra.
God. Yes. So true.
MVP. Her MVP is the witchy rape whistle. Why don't they use that all the time? Also,
it's true.
Also, Nick for nominating Sabrina for Top Boy. Yeah. It's true. Nick was
like, I
MVP.
nominated her.
Yeah.
So cute.
Oh, her LVP is Ambrose. Hey.
Yeah.
She says, like, are you so desperate to have a boyfriend that you can't even see the red flags? Luke was such a douche in the Spellman household, and he just sat by and didn't defend Sabrina. Not cool, fam.
Yeah, agreed.
Very good point. Best line, Father Blackwood, did you find the answers you were looking for, Agatha Christie? I like that one too.
Yeah, I like that
That
too.
was a good one. Yeah thanks, Julia. Good. That was really good.
Yeah, let us know what you guys thought about the episode. Make sure you guys are giving us our roundups as well, giving us your roundups as well, so we can include them in the next podcast. As you know from last season, this is a little bit harder for us to kind of do because everything kind of gets thrown at us at the same time. So we're going to release them as often as we can because we got a lot of other shows that we're working on right now. We got Game of Thrones, so make sure you guys are checking that out.
Yeah.
Riverdale's still on for another 5 weeks, so make sure you guys are checking that out. And then we'll be doing Sabrina as well, just to knock it off and make sure that you guys are getting that content as well. So stay tuned, but please be patient. Thank you very much.
Yes, and please review us. If you guys listen to us on especially iTunes, like, please drop us a review.
Yes.
Like, rate us 5 stars if you like us, because it does make a difference, and we are working very hard for these podcasts. So yeah, drop us a like, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to take the time to quickly thank our patrons of the episode, our Rewinder squad. We got Kate up in there, and then we got our Lit Rewinders, Tina Ann, Sarge, and Serena, and our Mommy Rewinders, Tamala and Taya. Thanks, guys.
And if you would like to join our Patreon family, check us out at patreon.com/recap_rewind. If you join, you'll get access to all things Recap Rewind, exclusive content, and updates.
And make sure you guys are checking us out on all of our social media platforms: iTunes, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook. Make sure you guys are trying to stay connected. Like we said, make sure you guys are reviewing us and commenting to join the conversation. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.